changes spanning generations, or a shift in the wind, a body dormant underground. This world is right.
Welcome to Onward Live, a live stream focused on encouraging you to create a life you love living now. Let's go beyond success to significance. Being clear on our why is crucial. It requires doing the inner work, finding ourselves, getting to know ourselves, embracing our inner child, shedding social conditioning, and letting go of perfect. We know obstacles make us stronger. We can dream big and take action. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. I invite you to tune in every week and engage with me and my inspiring guests. Invite your friends. Let's make time for what matters most in our lives. Let's move onward together.
Hello, hello. This is Emily Harmon, host of Onward Live, and eventually it gets turned into the Onward podcast. So I'm excited to be here tonight with another guest, Brianne Ligori, and we have a lot in common. We both like talking about just loving your life. And so I think this is going to be a fun conversation. If you're watching, sometimes it shows me people are watching, sometimes it doesn't. If you're watching, please let me know where you're watching from in the chat, and feel free to post any questions. And for those of you who are listening to this as a podcast, welcome. I appreciate you all. I think I have 3 or 4 more left, and then I'm ending the show for a little bit, taking a break. And I'm not sure if it's a permanent break or a temporary break. I allowed myself to take a break without knowing the answer to that question. So it feels a little uncomfortable sometimes, but it's okay. So who knows? I might be back. I may not, but we shall see. So let me bring in Brianne, and let's see, there she is. Let me change the screen here.
Hi.
Welcome. I'm so
Thank you
excited
so
to have
much.
you here. I love the topic, which is claiming your TGI today instead of TGI Friday, right? Thank God
Yeah.
it's today. Like, how can you wake up and just love your life? And so in your introduction, you said, do you long for the day, the week, or even the month, for the end of the day, the week, or even the month? And do you hear a gentle whisper within you telling you that there's more for you in this life? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And you're a certified coach. You're an entrepreneur, co-founder of the Leader Coach Intensive, which is a coaching certification program specifically targeted to develop leaders of the future. And you've worked in the corporate world for many years, so maybe we can talk about that some. And you raised the bar in varying roles in sales and marketing and training. And you write that you chose joy and that you bravely set aside your dazzling corporate career to empower others to live a life of purpose and joy through your coaching. Why do you say bravely?
Oh boy, that's such a good question. I think it's scary. It's so scary to leave that consistency of that paycheck. And also sometimes too, I think the ego kind of gets in the way a little bit because you have, sometimes really lofty job titles and, great bonuses and paychecks. And it allows you to live a life that, is really surrounding yourself with a lot of things, right? So I
Right.
think it takes a lot of courage to kind of just step back from some of those things as seeing those as a really important priority and actually prioritizing your own personal happiness. So that is what I did. I left a year and a half ago. I couldn't be happier. I'm having so much fun leading my 2 businesses. It was definitely worth it.
So, like, how did you get to be so brave to do that?
Oh my goodness. So it wasn't an overnight thing. So I think sometimes people think you just wake up one day and just quit these, big corporate jobs. No, for me, it was probably about a 5-year journey actually to prepare for that change. And I didn't even know that that's exactly what was going to happen. I guess I would say I sort of followed the breadcrumbs, right? Followed the signs of like what sort of lit a fire in my belly. And for
Hmm.
me, it was all about helping people to find more joy today, to really embrace their life and to have fun and not be so serious and not wish for something in the future to bring them happiness. And so as time rolled on and I started leaning into that, more opportunities showed up. So I started coming up with some theories and ideas and formulas on how we can find more joy. And I started kind of sharing them with some friends and family. And then from there, people were like, wow, this really resonates with me. Can you come and present this at my women's leadership group? Or can you do a workshop here or there? And then before you know it, when you start leaning into all of these moments over time and kind of follow that pull, then things beyond your wildest dreams actually start to happen. Things you didn't really even set out to do. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, I'm excited to learn more about that. So, Tim Sowen, thank you for joining us. And then we have a LinkedIn user. I can't tell who it is. Let us know in the comments from Tampa. And thank you for watching. I'm wondering if that's Teresa, but I'm not sure. So let me know. And I hope that I've just been really thinking about everybody down in Florida and Puerto Rico, and even over in Pakistan, that are going through devastating flooding and, just so many challenging things going on in this world. And I think that you and I have learned that perhaps, and that even through those challenging times, we can find hope. We can find something that we love. We can find joy through the day. And you see that in the news when people are like hugging their neighbors and, just finding their dog. Oh, Gina. Hi, Gina. Hope everything went well with you. Let us know in the chat with the storm and everything. So, Brianna, could you have found that joy when you were working in corporate?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely did. So when we start to talk about like connecting with our purpose,
Mm-hmm.
um, a big part of my purpose is helping people to find joy. And so I call myself a joy connector. It's what I do. Um, those corporate jobs, I absolutely found that in those roles. I actually had so much fun. So a lot of people think, oh, you left your corporate job, you must have hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the answer is absolutely not. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I did pretty much every job in the company, just had a blast, kind of moving and trying out different things. And I was able to actually exercise my purpose in different roles, in teams that I led, in coaching programs that I built for management teams. I had so much fun. But for me, I was just feeling this pull towards something different. And so I can actually use my purpose in many different ways, as we all can. Those are just things that I do or jobs that I hold. And you can actually shine your purpose through anything. And I think people often think, oh, I need to, start a charity or quit my job or, climb Mount Everest to find my purpose. No, those are just things you do. You
Right.
can show your purpose in many different ways.
Yeah. Well, I might get the whole story a little bit wrong, but Shirzad Chamine, who wrote this book, Positive Intelligence, he tells a story about like how, I don't know if it was a study or what, but they just interviewed these people that cleaned up the hospital rooms, right? And, some people looked at it as their job. Some people just put up with it. Some people felt that it was their purpose. That was
Mm-hmm.
their purpose in life, to be cheerful for the patients and to really keep the place clean and to he noticed that the patients, this person noticed that the patients were looking up a lot, so made sure that the ceiling was clean, the vents were clean. I mean, different things like that. So, no matter what, I remember giving an award to the woman that cleaned our building when I worked for the Navy, because I was in a small business office and a lot of people came and that was their first impression of the command where I was working. And so it was so important that it be clean. And, she hung that award up in her closet where she kept her supplies. And so every job is important, and you can find your purpose in that and live your purpose through those, what you do in those jobs, how you approach those jobs, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's how you approach it, right? So their purpose isn't to clean, but their purpose is, as you said, like to cheer people up or take care of people, make sure they're in a clean environment. Like
Mm-hmm.
those are the things that drive us
Mm-hmm.
rather than just like the title of a particular job or something that we actually do. So it's kind of neat to hear that coming through in that book. I would love to grab a copy of that.
Yeah, it's a good book, Positive Intelligence. So you talk about four factors to bring joy through internal fulfillment, but I'm wondering, like, what is your definition of joy
Hmm.
before you talk
Yeah.
about
So
the four factors?
well, the thing is that I think sometimes people use the word happiness and joy interchangeably. And I actually think that they have sort of different definitions.
Mhm.
So happiness is sort of like in those individual moments, right? Like, our kid comes and gives us a hug. It's like, okay, that was a good moment. And then that moment passes. Those moments of happiness are sort of fleeting, and we're kind of always chasing those moments, right? Where joy, it's just permeates our life. It's just a feeling that we have from inside, a feeling that we have when we're actually following what makes us feel like most ourselves, when
Mhm.
we feel like we're following our truth. Those types of things to me are what joy comes from. And we don't have to be happy all the time to be joyful.
Right.
So I live a joyous life, but not every moment of my life is happy. Like there's a lot of crazy chaos that goes on in a house with 11-year-old twins, running two businesses. My husband runs four. Like we got a lot going on. And so not every moment's happy, but we live a joyous life because we're following what's in our heart, what's true to ourselves, and we're making choices to really live by that truth.
Yeah. And what did you say that you have a sign right next to you? That what does it say?
Yes, I do. Actually, it's hanging on my wall. It's kind of a coincidence. I don't know if you can probably not. I don't know how to get it in front of the
I
camera,
know.
but
Create a life
it,
you.
you create a life you can't wait to wake up to.
I love that.
So,
My daughter
yes.
gave me a sign. It's in my bathroom. It says, and she designed a life she loves or something like that. I mean, it's like create, design. It's not about waiting for it to happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's about
Yeah.
taking action. It's like, not like, well, once I retire, I'll love my life, or once I find the love of my life, I'll be happy or joyful, or once I get a promotion. Those are,
Hmm.
we sometimes put it off. When this happens, then I'll be happy. I've done that. I'm sure we all have, but
I think we all do. And, you bring up such a good point. And I really, through my work and my coaching and leadership, I've realized that we live in what I call a TGIF society. So, a society where we're always waiting for that next thing. Like you said, that next promotion or that next relationship, retirement. Like I even hear people go, oh, 10 more years to go, and then I'll be
yeah,
happy.
I know.
It's crazy that we are constantly wishing for that next thing, that next bonus check or whatever it might be. And when I get there, I'm going to be good. And I was doing this. I was guilty of this. I was climbing all different corporate jobs. Like every 2 years, I had a new job. A lot of that was led by, okay, I'll be happy when I get to that next role. But the problem is that when we actually get to the next role or that next thing, whatever it is, we don't actually land. We
I
don't
know.
fully enjoy the moment. We actually set our eyes on the next thing.
I
And
know.
so, like, that joy becomes this moving target where we never actually get there. It's like just that carrot that keeps on moving. And
Mhm.
so, in my book, I talk about the TGI Today formula, which is all about those four factors that are going to help us to live more in today. So, thank God it's today, and to really just be in that moment because so many things are happening in the world. We never know when, our last day on earth for any of us could be. Like,
Mm.
we need to enjoy it today. It's so, so key.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it real quickly that I had my wake up calls when I retired. So I called 3 years ago. I retired. I called my retirement a graduation. I'm like graduating
Mhm.
onto a life. Yes, I get to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
What's that? I don't even know. I don't even know who I am anymore. And then I thought I was going to have so much time to exercise and work out and all this stuff, and to make a lot of friends. Well, COVID hit and stuff, but my life was just going to be so much easier, really, when I
Yeah.
retired, and I was busier than ever. So I didn't have a job to blame it on. I didn't have a boss to blame it on. I had to look at myself. And that's when I started that inner work journey, looking at myself and understanding why I was busy all the time. It was really to avoid feeling my feelings. And not to go too long into it, but like 3 weeks after I retired, my kid's dad was diagnosed with cancer, and he died 5 months later. And I saw him die with regrets on how he lived his life. So those two things happened within 5-6 months of each other, woke me up to, wait a second, how do I want to live my life? How do I want to be feeling? And what do I want to be thinking and feeling when I'm, in bed, maybe getting ready to pass away? How do I want to feel? And so it really changed the whole way that I approached life, the way I created and designed my life intentionally. I think that's what you're talking about, being intentional about how we live our lives.
That's exactly it, right? It's not feeling like we're a victim of our circumstances. Like, it's looking at the world, that actually the world and the things that happen are actually happening for us rather than to us. And all of those things, even though there's difficult things that come up, they're actually placed there to help us learn lessons and to help us grow and evolve and really get to know ourselves and what we stand for in this world.
Yeah. If we pay attention to them instead of just like,
That's it.
I'm too busy. I was always too busy to pay attention. You mentioned in here about like, do you have like a inner whisper or something telling you that there's more in life? And you might hear it, but then you ignore it. And you hear it and you ignore it. And you hear it and you ignore it.
Yeah.
And
It's important. And that's actually where my journey really, really got kicked off around all of this. So back 4 years ago, November 2018, I was on a family vacation in Costa Rica. And I remember lying on the beach. And of course, you think Costa Rica, like the most glorious place on earth. And it certainly is. But because my pace actually slowed down enough, I actually got to kind of self reflect. And I was doing a bit of an inventory of my life and kind of in my mind. And I was going, okay, so I got the big job. I got a great family and the house, the cars, vacations whenever I need them. Why the heck am I asking myself, is there more to life? And that question just kept repeating. Is there more to life? There's more to life. There's more to life. And I started feeling guilty for having that feeling because I had this perfect life from the outside, everything I needed, right? And so for me, through that, I realized that I needed to redefine my definition of success because we are conditioned from a very young age to believe that success is everything outside of ourselves. So what job title we have, what people think of us, what house we live in, what university degree or college degree we have, all of those things. It's like we're striving to check all those things off in our lives. And so when some of those things start to fall away, then who are we, right? If we're just defined by all of these things on the outside.
yeah. Who are you? Are you good enough? Like, how do you, how do you feel good enough if you're not like achieving all the time?
That's exactly it, right? So for me, I needed to go deep inside and say, what does success mean to me? And to me, it was just simply knowing who I am, what matters to me, what brings me joy, what lights that fire in my belly. And then the hardest thing is to actually make choices to live by that. So it's good to know all of that, but then you got to do it. You got to make a change.
Because you might have people say, well, you're crazy. What are you doing? You're leaving corporate to be what, a coach? What's a coach? I mean, things like that you might have heard, like, right? What are you going to do for healthcare? How are you going to live?
Well, it's this fear mentality, right? So like, yeah, people aren't behind you cheering. A lot of people are scaring you, but not on purpose. It's because we've all been conditioned in the society that success is all of these things, the size of our bank account and all of those things. And so, yeah, I heard it a lot. And honestly, every single day that ego can creep back in there and go, oh my God, I should just get a corporate job. I can go and make, tons of money doing that. But would I be truly happy? Do I want to sacrifice that when I'm being pulled to something else? And so it is a conscious choice every single day for all of us to make choices to live into our truth.
Yeah.
whatever
And to
that
make
is.
that time
Yeah.
to, to figure that out for ourselves. What is our truth? I think this Facebook user is Maria Thorpe, because I've interviewed her, and she's a electrical engineer, and she talks about, engineering your success.
Mm,
So
beautiful.
thank you, Maria.
Thank
Um,
you.
so what were those 4 factors? Did you list them and I missed it?
No, I didn't list them yet. So
Okay,
it
good.
is, all right. All right. So the TGI Today formula. Okay. So it is purpose plus people plus pace. And it all sits on a foundation of the power of choice. Okay. So you can draw a line under those 3 things and then put the power of choice underneath. So you got yourself this lovely formula, because I think a lot of people struggle to know, okay, well, how do I actually find joy today? Like, it sounds simple, but it's actually kind of hard.
Hmm.
So I spent a ton of time interviewing people all over the world, people that I coached, really trying to understand what are the factors that go into our joy. And these are the themes that just kept coming up.
Okay.
So they're pretty important to many people. Purpose is all about what we're here on earth to achieve, right? So
Right.
some of the stuff we've already talked about. People is about who we're surrounding ourselves with. So we
Right.
want to live a more joyous life. We need to be super intentional about who we're bringing into our life.
Yeah.
And then pace, the pace of our days. My gosh, how many times do you start a conversation and the person says, "How are you?" And then you say busy,
Busy.
right? It's our word. We all say it, right? Life is busy.
Hmm.
So if we want to live that joyous life, we need to really get a handle on a pace that's right for us. And that's going to be different for everybody at different phases of our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then power of choice. So if something in our purpose, people, or pace is not lining up with our joy every day, then we have that choice to do something different.
Mhm. I love it. That's why I decided to end the podcast. Not that to take a break. Not that I don't love it, but I don't want to get to the point where I'm like, oh, got to do another
Yeah.
interview or something like that. And there's more things that I want to create and do in my life. And so I definitely love interviewing everybody, and I've learned so much. But I've done it for 3.5 years, and so I just want to take a little break, see how I miss it, if I miss it, and figure out what else I want to do with my life. I want to have more time to hike and camp, and I may even write a book, where I talk about, my journey, my awakening, but then tie in all these different podcast episodes, and what I've learned from all my guests. So you never know.
That's
So
beautiful.
what?
There's something cool in the mystery too, Emily, right? Like not
Yeah,
knowing exactly what it is and just
yeah.
trusting that each step will reveal the next step.
Yes, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Because I usually like to plan things out, and yeah. And so I let myself, yeah, what's next? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
I'm okay with
You will.
that. So you said too, you wanted to talk about optimal alignment of activities and energy. What do you mean by that?
Mm, yeah. So this kind of, comes down to the piece about pace. So this seems to be the most popular topic when I'm talking about these things because people are really struggling with the pace of their days.
Hmm.
So many people are feeling like they're just struggling to keep their head above water with how many things that they have on their plate. And so, when we have this conversation, I always talk about the key to this being time for self reflection. Okay.
Hmm.
Because when we don't have time to really get to know who we are, we don't really make intentional choices. We start to just make reactionary choices. And
Right.
we no longer are in the driver's seat of our life. We're actually in the back seat. And our
Yeah.
life is just kind of going. And sometimes we may feel like we're swimming upstream. Like it's just so hard to just, get through the rapids and the current and even keep our head above water. And then
Yeah.
our happiness is and our joy is just not there.
And that's how we
Uh,
go from, thinking this is where I'm going to be next year. And then you're in the same place year after year after year
mhm.
because you're sitting in the back seat, not the driver's seat. And,
Yes.
one thing
Yeah.
that I don't know if you read this book. Have you read this book, Atomic Habits?
Yes. 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 Yes.
That's a really good book about like
Yeah.
how to get yourself in the friggin' driver's seat, small
Yes.
little habits, habit stacking. We don't have to go
Baby
into it
steps.
today, but it's a really excellent book if you want to, figure out how to it's like a 1 degree change, a 1% change in what you're
Mhm.
doing every day is going to really make a big difference in a year if you stick with it. So
Oh,
Suzanne's,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Suzanne says success is outside of yourself, ourself, is a statement that we should question because it really begins
Mhm.
with you as an individual, like you say, Brianne, and what you're being pulled to do. Love this podcast. Thanks,
Yes.
Suzanne, for watching.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Susie. I know you, Susie. I'm going to come see you again soon.
Well, pace, my word of the year, I didn't start doing that until I graduated or retired, but my word of the year this past year, and I think this coming up year is still going to be being, is kind of, I've been accomplishing all my life, accomplish, never celebrate my successes. So then it's like, I want to focus on who am I being while I'm doing. And because as one of my podcast guests said, when you do, you turn into do. And so like,
Yes.
I have on my list, like, okay, I do have a to-do list, but it's like, all right,
Yes.
how do I want to be today? And that's, I think, the
Mhm.
pace thing that you're talking about. I think a lot of people are just tired of this pace. And I think we feel like we can't do anything about it, but you can.
But you really, really can. Oh my gosh, there's so much good stuff to say here. Like we're human beings, not human doings. I think we've heard
Hmm.
that lots of times before. So I love that. I am so with you on this. Like I am coming from the corporate world. Like I'm a doer. I'm a like, you know, list checker, go, go, go. I got to get it done. And there's some sort of like self-worth thing kind of connected to that because
Hmm.
we've been raised that way our whole lives, right? But recently I realized, okay, so if I actually want to be more effective, I need to actually kind of balance those energies. Like I call it like the yin and the yang energy, right? So
Right.
the busy, busy, do, do, do. But on the other side, I need to be taking time for that self reflection and to
Hmm.
just really continue to get to know myself, be quiet, allow my intuition to flow through. Because when those things work together, we are so much better at actually
Yeah.
doing and we're much more effective.
Yeah. And so if you're somebody like me and maybe like you were, being quiet and just reflecting is really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
can be.
it sure is. It
Because
definitely.
that's the reason I stayed busy is so I didn't have to feel my feelings. And when my former husband passed away, my kid's dad, all the feelings that like one of my past guests said, I say this on every episode, I think, she said, when you shove your feelings to the basement, they lift weights. So all my feelings
Yeah.
for 20 years came up after when he died, when he was sick. It's like I was starting to feel them all because in the past I was too busy. I was a single parent.
Mhm.
I had a busy job. I was just too busy, busy, busy. I was getting my kids through it. I was putting everyone and everything else first. And so it took me a while. That's why I stayed busy when I retired because subconsciously that's the way, and I thought I couldn't change. I thought this is just the way I am.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling that way, there is hope. You can change, and you can become a different. A different. You can adapt to find a different way of being. I guess is what I would say, and it's so freeing.
It really is. And like sometimes the to-do list can be a bit of a crutch, right? Just like, I'm just so busy and we feel validated when we're doing it and all of that. So it's a conscious choice to take that time. For me, like my gosh, my days are crazy leading two businesses and with the kids, right? And sports and all that fun stuff. So
Hmm.
I was literally getting out of bed and like diving into my day. So, up at 6 a.m. on the bike or doing some sort of exercise before the kids wake up and then lunches and then, preparing for work. So I realized that I need to bring a little more of that yin energy into my day. So I set my alarm 15 minutes earlier. I get up at 5:45 now and I have a tea and I get my journal and I just spend a bit of me time because I really think like the way we start our day is actually going to
Hmm.
continue through our day. So for
Yeah.
me, this has been a game changer. I know I don't really like to get up earlier, but like it's totally worth it just having that time just to kind of reflect and go, how do I want this day to go?
Yeah.
And then just kind of setting that intention.
Right. Oh, I agree. And then I think I think reflecting at the end of the day, if you can make time to do that, is important too, because you could say, okay, I intended to be this way. And then in this situation, I had this little thing with my husband, or I snapped at my kids, or, I didn't handle that client very well, or whatever you want to look at to say, envision like, okay, have some compassion for yourself. And also like imagine yourself handling it the way you wanted to. And then as you practice that in your mind, you visualize that, then the next time your reaction is going to be more automatic towards the way you want to be. So it's not like you snap your fingers and you're being differently. It takes time. It takes some practice.
Takes
Takes
time. It
intention.
takes intention. Yes, I love that word. One of my favorite books is Wayne Dyer, The Power of Intention.
Yeah.
I just love this man. And he talks a lot about this. Like, whatever we put into our mind before we go to bed is going to be in there on repeat. So if we want to create negative energy, then, watch the news before bed, right? We want to kind of, grow ourselves, put positive things into your mind, positive affirmations, or exactly what you just said, like a visualization of how you want things to go is really, really powerful to put into your subconscious.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the TGI Today formula, is that that's the 4 factors, or is it a little different?
Yeah, so
It is
that is
4 factors.
purpose
That's your
plus
formula.
people plus pace, and then divided by the power of choice.
So what you mentioned some breadcrumb exercises. What do you mean by that to help you recognize your inner calling and happiness, sparking purpose?
Yeah, so purpose is a really important element of the TGI Today formula. And I think sometimes when people hear that word, like we get kind of like anxious. We're like,
Yeah, like,
it
what is
seems
my purpose? I don't
huge,
know.
right? Like our shoulders start kind of rising up, or like,
A lot of
feeling a
pressure.
little bit
I'm supposed to have one
tense.
purpose.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so I think that we think it's just this one purpose, and it's this
Hmm.
big grand moment that we're going to hit one day, and it's, far off in the future. But the thing is that purpose can be found in small, simple moments of life, moments of joy, moments where you feel most yourself, moments where you're at peace, or maybe you're doing something that you love, because that
Hmm.
all really, really, it matters and it's important. And so, as we talked about earlier, those things can show up in so many different ways. It doesn't need to just be one grand moment.
Right.
And so, with purpose, I also talk about in the book that it is all around us. It is in us. It's not something outside of ourselves. And we can start to kind of tune into what I call breadcrumbs. And breadcrumbs are those signs and those clues that are all around us, that are leading us in the direction of our purpose. So that fire in your belly when you're doing something and you're like, this is so great. Or the sign that you see on the roadway, that intuitive moment, or something someone says just at the right time. And you're like, you get
Yeah.
shivers, right?
Yeah.
Those are breadcrumbs. And when we start to lean into those things, like for me, when I had people say, oh my God, this TGI Today formula is amazing. Can you present it, to my women's leadership group? That's a breadcrumb, right? And I could have said, no, I'm too busy. I've got this corporate job. Or I could dive right in, which I did. And then through that, over time, it became a book, but I had no intention of it being a book. It just
Right.
kind of happened through leaning into these little breadcrumbs and signs of people saying things, and feedback I was getting, and just that fire in my belly around this formula.
So I think a lot of it has to do with awareness, right? One of my coaches is Mary Morrissey. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she talks about
No.
notice what you're noticing.
Yes.
That's,
Yes.
and then she says, the biggest transformational tool is your calendar. Like
Okay.
making time for the things that are important to you, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the she talks about being too, but when we say, yeah, I want to do that, or, like my mom sometimes will say, yeah, someday I want to do that. I'm like, all right, you want to go to the Peaks of Otter and hike? She wants to hike, I think Sharp something is the name, Sharp Top. My mom's 79. She wants to hike Sharp Top. It's a very hard hike. So I said, okay, we'll do it. We're going to do it on November 2nd. We're staying, instead of, well, she said, maybe next year. No, we're doing it. I'm booking the
We're doing it.
hotel. We're going to, the Peaks of Otter Lodge. We're going to go there. It's fall. It's beautiful. Let's do it. Let's do it now.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's incredible. I think that's so beautiful. And I love what you say about notice what you notice. Like that
Mm-hmm.
is something we're missing in a big way in this world because we're
Mm-hmm.
so busy with to-dos
Right.
that we don't actually take time to tune into these breadcrumbs or these things that we notice.
Right.
And so we do have to set that intentional time. Although it's like, oh, can't really add anything else to my to-do list. Yes, you can, because you can say no to something. You can look at your list and you can do a bit of an assessment and look at the should do's. That's what I always
Right.
recommend. There are things on your to-do list that are should do's, things you don't actually really want to do.
Yeah.
That party you said yes to, but you're like, I'd rather be on the couch, watching Netflix and eating popcorn, right? Say no to those things that are shoulds to make room for yourself so you can put your happiness as a priority.
Right. No is a complete sentence.
That's it, right?
So, we're talking about, I'm just going to share here. Thank you, Suzanne, for summarizing a lot of the points here. Appreciate that in the comments.
You're so awesome. I love you, Susie.
I want to put a caption here for this saboteur assessment. I mentioned it on another show recently. I mean, it's an area that I coach in with this positive intelligence, but you can go online and take this free saboteur assessment. And if you can't remember the link, just go to positiveintelligence.com and it'll tell you some of the what's holding you back, how you're self-sabotaging and the thoughts, so what you were just talking about is somebody who might have more of a pleaser saboteur, right? Like, I've got to please everybody. I should do that. I should do this. I should do that. That was me. I'm putting everybody and everything else before me. Or the hyperachiever. My hyperachiever tells me, Emily, you achieve this, you're going to be really happy. It used to. And then it's like, I achieve it. About that.
Yeah.
So, and then there's controller, avoider. So this assessment is free. It's pretty easy. It helps you really understand yourself. It helps you become a little bit more aware and noticing some of the thoughts that are in your mind. And a lot of times, like one of my other guests said on the show, we kind of rubber stamp these thoughts and believe them. Thought comes in. Yep. Thought comes in. And, when you're noticing what you're noticing, you notice those thoughts more and you take a pause and you say, well, is that really true? Yeah. I don't need to believe that. Those thoughts aren't you. It's your mind.
Yes.
It's not you. Right?
Yes. Yeah, I love that. And I remember Wayne Dyer once said, like, if someone told you you're a tree, are you going to believe them? Of
Right.
course not. So why are you believing these thoughts that are in your mind? Like,
Yeah.
take the power away from them, right?
Right. And so the first thing you have to do is even notice what they are. And then you have to get curious about, is this really true? What else could be true? What's another way of looking at it? So, yeah. And then people was one of your things. Are you talking about like making sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are uplifting and support you, right? And then you said, what you want and need from people in your life and how to ask them for it. Oh, asking for help. That's hard to do sometimes, right?
It totally is. And so in our lives, we're going to need different things at different times, right? And so we've got different people that come in and out of our lives. In my book, I refer to people as dragonflies because dragonflies come in all different shapes and sizes and colors and with different strengths, as do the people in our lives. And they come in and out of our lives at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we want to design this life, create that life we're excited to wake up to, we need to be super intentional about who we are surrounding ourselves with.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are going to be more supportive. Some people are going to be more challenging. And that is completely okay because you're going to need a little bit of both, depending on what you're going through. So when I wrote my book, for example, I needed a lot of champions behind me. I needed people to really listen and be sort of that sounding board. But I also needed people that were perspective shifters, that were going to read my work and give me that feedback that might be hard to hear, but needs to be said.
Right.
And so I had to call those people into my life. I didn't have as many perspective shifters as I needed. So I ended up putting together a pilot team of 20 people that read my book, cover to cover and gave me feedback. I had tons of feedback that I was then able to incorporate to make it an even better experience for the reader. So, although difficult, oh my God, it was not my favorite thing to do, read 50 pages of feedback, but it really enriches your life when you have that balance that you need. So it's really tuning in and to paying attention to what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? And then what styles of people or dragonflies might you need around you to help you get there?
Ah, I love that analogy. Yeah, with the dragonfly.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you also talk about the power of choice. We do have choice, and one of the ways the way that I came up with, all right, I'm going to end my podcast is I went camping. I got out in nature. I got away, and I think we all need to do that from time to time, and to ask ourselves, okay, what do I want to let go of, and what do I want to create? And I've been working on letting go of more things because guess what? I'm retired, right? And so I want to let go of even more things in my life to create more time to go hiking and camping and to spend time with my grandson and my son and daughter and my parents. Those are things that really bring me joy. And I've come a long way because 3 years ago I was just busy. I didn't have time for that. I was busy,
Hmm.
And so I've really come a long way in that. And so I'm telling anybody who's listening, if you think, oh, I'm just so busy, there's no way I can transform like this and create that life. I just can't do it. I would encourage you to reconsider that because I'm saying if I can do it, you can do it.
Hmm.
The way
Yeah.
I used to be. Um, so how is this impacting your children? You said you have twins that are 11. Your outlook on
Yes.
life and everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my babies aren't babies anymore. I can't believe it. Well, one thing is my daughter is like hell bent that she's going to be writing a book with me one day on this. She wants to call it TGI Today for Teens.
Oh, I love it.
She's like over the moon. She helped me with a lot of like the illustrations in my book. Like, oh, I can never get it in front of the camera,
Yeah,
but
hold it up.
there. Hold on one second. I'll try and so
Oh,
this book is
okay.
a book you actually experience, you actually do. It's a full color book, and so you walk through all these activities to go through the TGI Today formula. And so she actually helped me come up with a lot of the ideas. Like she's mature beyond her years,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, she's like, when are we writing the next one? When are we doing TGI 15? So she believes in this work, and I think it's because this is what I've preached since she was born, right? Is really
Hmm.
about following your truth, knowing who you are, going with what makes you happy, like all of those things. So she's ready. Um, my son is really just, I believe he's just like an angel. Like his name actually means bringer of light. And I didn't even know that, but like he is just such a kind soul. And I feel he's very intuitive and just gets stuff. So I
Uh-huh.
feel like he's well past me and my daughter anyway. So it's incredible when you bring this kind of stuff into your household, the impact that it has on people, just having these conversations. And I even hear them saying things,
Hmm.
right? Like my son, he brought home one of those, the paper that they use at school and they pass it around and everybody writes something nice about you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you take it home and it's supposed to be like, woohoo, I'm going to feel so good about myself. Well, he brought his home and he actually crumpled it up in a ball and he was about to throw it out. And I said, Luca, what's going on? Like, why are you throwing that out? He's like, Mom, all people wrote on my paper was I was good at sports. I was handsome, like whatever it was, good at gym, those kinds of things. He's like, that's not who I am, Mom. Like,
Wow.
and I was like, and he was 9 at the time, and I was like, holy smoke, something's working here because like he gets it. He gets that success isn't those things outside of ourselves. He gets that it's what's inside. So he was pretty upset about it. So I'm taking that as a good sign that he's evolving very
Yeah, that
nicely.
is amazing. That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I think that the next generations are just going to be a little bit more kind of laid back than I was. I don't know. I saw
Mhm.
my daughter who's 26. She had a thing in her Instagram story last night, and it said something like, it had a picture. It wasn't Anna, but had a picture of this woman. It said, when I get really stressed, I just think, and then it had a picture of the earth going into the universe, going into, other universes, all that, just imagine that, we think that this thing is so stressful and really we're just little
Yeah.
people on this small earth that's in this huge universe. We make such a big deal out of all these little things. I loved that she
Hmm.
posted that.
Yes. Yeah. So she's like evolving and she gets it.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does. She does. And, you know, I think what helped her get it a little bit is that she has an invisible illness. And so she couldn't like go like I did. And I used to think, well, she's lazy or something like that, and then I realized, oh no, she's actually tired and she needs to rest and she's taking care of herself and she's putting herself first, which is something I
Yeah.
never really did. I put everyone else first. So, I've learned a lot from both of my children. I'm sure you have
Hmm.
too, you
Oh,
can
they're
learn.
teachers. They're
Yeah.
absolutely our teachers. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. So let me see, I've got a few things here. People can follow you on Facebook. Is it a
Facebook.
group
Yep.
or is it
Uh, yeah. No, it's just a regular page.
just a
And
regular
then,
page?
yeah, Instagram, they can catch me at Brianne Ligori as well.
Yep. And then
Yeah,
you also have your website. And
I
what
do.
what kind of resources do you have on there?
Yeah, so I have all kinds of free resources that people can download. So I have a joy bundle. I have a TGI Today self-assessment so people can kind of see where they are today so they can start making action plans to move forward. And then, of course, my book is on there as well if anybody's feeling inspired by this work.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I've got here too, connect with you on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn a lot or, you've got these Facebook and an Instagram. So where are you mostly?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn too. I do run two businesses. So I've got, of course, all of the stuff around TGI Today, but I also own or co-own a coach training company as well. And we work with leaders to support them to become certified coaches. So I do a lot of work on LinkedIn there for that coaching topic as well.
Okay. So you developed a coaching program that you certify coaches in, right?
That's right.
And
Yeah.
is it
Yeah,
ICF cert accredited program? I think it
it
was. I
is.
saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
deal. That a lot. That was hard work to do, put
Oh
together.
my gosh. You have no idea. Like ICF is so rigorous.
I don't think I want to know. I mean,
Oh
I am
my
an
God.
ICF certified coach, so that's why I
Yeah,
know to get your
you
program,
know.
your coaching program certified or approved, accredited by ICF, because I know what it took to become an ICF coach. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's honestly, it was worth every second. We meet amazing people in this program. Like it is the time of my life. Like we just actually certified another 12 today. They just graduated and it's
Oh,
just really
awesome.
beautiful to see the connection as you know, right? In the group and that you make with people through sharing, your life with
Yeah.
people. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I went through two coaching programs, Positive Intelligence, and then I went through Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, IPEC, and both of those, you think you're learning coaching, but you're learning a lot about yourself and a lot about how to
Yeah.
lead yourself and coach yourself. You've got to learn that before you can coach other people, and it's really rigorous, and you're vulnerable, and it's not easy, and but it's so rewarding. And so, congratulations on creating a
Yeah.
coaching program that was certified by or accredited by ICF. That's awesome. And is
Thank
your
you.
program taking people, helping them coach this TGIF formula?
No, they're actually two totally separate businesses. Of course, there's a
Okay.
lot of, intersection places where they come together. But we have our own proprietary coaching model and program that we use for leadership. So people that
Okay.
lead businesses or people that are inside a corporation. Because what I noticed is that, and my partner noticed, is that a lot of the certifications out there are very much more life life
Yeah.
coaching based.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we take those as leaders, and I took one and I loved it, and I used that in
Mm-hmm.
my TGI Today business. But when I tried to apply it inside an organization, I found it kind of tough to ground it and bring it down to earth. for business speak, right?
Got it.
So we developed a program that's kind of that cross between that, like that human to human, and then also getting business results.
Yeah.
So it's bringing that humanness to the workplace, which is so needed.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
what's next for you?
Oh my goodness. Just having so very much fun working on launching some digital programs for TGI Today. Also, I've been doing a lot of speaking for TGI Today in organizations. So another thing I didn't intend to do, however, just kind of showed up in my life when someone said, "Hey, can you come speak to our work about how to find more joy in their life?" And then from there, it kind of snowballed, and I started to realize this work actually is super relevant in organizations because, the great resignation is happening. People are leaving their jobs by the droves. Like, people just aren't willing to stand for not being happy at work. So
Yeah.
organizations are looking to bring this type of work in to support their people to find more joy, which is just truly amazing. And I'm just so honored to be part of.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. I'm so glad we met. It's like, I think we connected. You reached out to me, or maybe you're on Podmatch. I'm not sure, but somehow we connected for doing this, and we hadn't really talked to each other until tonight, right? But we
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
we do similar things and coach in similar areas. And it was just such a fun conversation. I'm so glad that we met.
Thank you, Emily. Likewise.
Yeah. And thank you everybody who watched tonight and who submitted comments. We appreciate you. And for those of you who listen to this as a podcast. So, Brianne, I'm going to put you in the green room. So thank you so much.
everyone.
And we're going to wrap this up. Oh, let me just take off this. So your website is where also they could go to get, to reach out to you, like to have you be a speaker, right? They can
Yes,
go to your website
absolutely.
for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good. So I wanted to make sure that. And then someone made a comment here. What does it say? Suzanne, Emily, and Brianne, I loved your banter in this podcast tonight. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Susie.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Susie.
watching. Thank you for watching. All right. I'll be right there, Brianne. So thank you all for watching. Oops, let me fix this. Where do I have to go? Oh, I know what I need to do. Hold on. There we go. Thank you for watching. And I appreciate you guys. Sometimes it gets a little challenging to watch the comments in the chat, to, pay attention to my guests, to ask questions. But I just love doing this. And I've got a few more shows coming up. There's one Wednesday this month. I think it's like the 18th or something, I want to say. I'm going to go on a little trip with my parents as part of creating a life I love living. It's been their 60th wedding anniversary, so I'm taking them on a trip. So I decided to skip doing an interview that Wednesday. Emily about 3 years ago would have figured out a way to still get that interview done because you can't miss a week. So there's just an example of how I've paid a lot more attention to how I'm being, who I'm being, and I want to focus on spending time with my parents and enjoying that trip. So that's what I'm going to do. And then the last live show is on November 2nd. So hope you can join me there. I'll just share some thoughts of, 3.5 years of doing this podcast. And, like I said, maybe I'll come back. I don't know for sure, but I appreciate everyone who watched tonight and everyone who's listening to this as a podcast. And I hope to see you guys next week. Onward Live is sponsored by Emily Harmon Coaching and Consulting. Visit my website, emilyharmon.com, to learn more about me and my coaching programs. I'd love to help you create a life you love living. Remember, every adversity is our own personal university. Sometimes the lessons are difficult, and we must learn from our experiences. Vulnerability is your superpower. You are lovable and worthy. And we discuss these topics and more because professional is personal. Thank you for joining